I used to think my life was a postcard from perfection. A cozy house in a quiet Portland suburb, a devoted husband who clocked out on time, two energetic boys who lived for bedtime stories and jelly sandwiches, and at first, a mother-in-law whose polite smiles hit a sharper edge. My name is Emily, 34, a stay-at-home mom to two boys under 7, married to Mark, a civil engineer who believes zip ties can solve any problem, even family drama. Our home sits on a tree-lined street, complete with a tire swing and marker scribbles on the kitchen walls. To anyone passing by, we probably look like we've got it all together. For a long time, I believed we did. Then Margaret, Mark's mother, started helping. To the outside world, Margaret is poised, gracious, always dressed in a cardigan and a string of pearls. For the first 2 years of our marriage, I tried to buy into that image. But people reveal their true selves when they think no one's watching, and Margaret's kindness had teeth. The first dinner at her place in Tacoma set the stage. Mark got a juicy steak with garlic butter. His dad, Henry, got roasted trout. Me, a plate of boiled greens and a watery soup that tasted like regret. "Keeping that waistline in check, dear," Margaret said with a smile as warm as a refrigerator light. I hadn't mentioned my figure, not once, but I nodded, thanked her, and ate. That moment became the blueprint for every visit, the slights stacked up like unpaid bills. If she poured lemonade for the boys, my glass was forgotten. At holiday gatherings, she'd pass out fancy truffles. Mine would be in a faded wrapper, tasting faintly of dust. "It must be tough not having a career," she'd say, her voice dripping with pity, "but at least the kids have you there." Always that smile. Mark didn't see it or chose not to. "She's just like that," he'd say every time. "It's her way of caring." Caring? Like when she gave me a cookbook called Easy Dishes for Kitchen Novices. Or when she shared a family photo from our son's birthday, carefully cropping me out, leaving just Mark, Henry, and our boy. I told myself I could deal. She wasn't in our daily life. Mark was in my corner, even if he didn't fully get it. Then came the candy. It was a warm July weekend when we took the boys to Tacoma for a visit. While Mark and his dad ran to the store and the kids napped, Margaret appeared in the living room, holding a small silver tray. "A little treat for you, Emily," she said, offering a few chocolates that looked dull, one slightly smashed. "Something special for a busy mom." I hesitated but took one, thanked her, and bit down. It crunched. Chocolates shouldn't crunch. The taste was stale, gritty, almost sour. "Yours is unique," Margaret said, her eyes too sharp. "I picked it just for you." Her tone sent a chill through me. "I'll save the rest," I said, wrapping them in a tissue. She didn't argue. An hour later, pain hit, sharp, twisting cramps in my gut. I barely reached the bathroom before collapsing, sweating and dizzy. Mark found me pale and shaking. "You okay?" he asked. "Bad food, maybe," I mumbled. He helped me to bed, brought me water, and read to the boys. I didn't mention the chocolate. Not yet. The next day, while tossing out coffee grounds, I noticed a crumpled wrapper in the kitchen trash. Old-fashioned gold foil, unfamiliar brand. I fished it out with a fork. Best by March 2011. It was 2023, my throat tightened. Margaret hadn't just given me expired candy, she'd handed me something a decade past its prime. I tucked the wrapper in my pocket, unsure what to do but certain I couldn't let it go. That night I told Mark. He frowned at the wrapper. "She probably didn't check the date," he said. "She's not that careful." "Mark," I said, "it wasn't just old, it was ancient, and she said it was for me." He shifted uncomfortably. "Are you saying she meant to do it?" I held his gaze. "Do you think she didn't?" He sighed. "Even if she did, what's the plan? Call her out. She'll say it was an accident and we'll be fighting for weeks." I swallowed my frustration. "She's been doing this for years, Mark. This wasn't a mistake." He rubbed his temples. "Emily, I love you, but you might be reading too much into this." I called my sister, Lauren, the next day. She's 31, a graphic designer in San Diego, and we talk almost daily. I spilled everything, the candy, the wrapper, the years of subtle digs. She was quiet for a moment. "You need cameras," she said. "What?" "Small ones, hidden. You're visiting her again soon, right?" Margaret had invited us to a rental cabin on Orcas Island for a weekend in 2 weeks. "Perfect," Lauren said. "If she's really pulling this, you need evidence. Mark's not seeing it." She was right, and I hated it. A week later, a package arrived. 6 tiny cameras, a mini router, and a note from Lauren. "Don't wait for another bad chocolate. Catch her." I packed them in my suitcase just in case. That night, Mark came home, scrolling his phone. "Mom says the Orca's cabin has 3 bedrooms and a killer view. She even hired a chef for Saturday." I nodded. "Of course she did." He glanced up. "What's that mean?" I smiled tightly. "Nothing." But I wasn't packing for a vacation anymore. I was packing for proof. Orca's Island in spring was misty and green, the air heavy with pine. The cabin, perched near a forest, had a gravel path, 2 decks, and a shared kitchen. Margaret greeted us in a linen blazer, all warmth and grace. Henry stood behind her, quiet, sipping from a mug. "So wonderful to have you all," she said, hugging the boys and brushing my arm. "Emily, you look relaxed." I forced a smile. "You too." Mark carried our bags inside while the boys raced to their room. Margaret showed us around the cozy 1,300 square foot space. "You and Mark are here," she said, pointing to a room with twin beds. "The boys can share. Henry and I will take the main suite." The kitchen and dining area were open, a long oak table at the center. "Very homey," Margaret said, beaming. "Like a true family." The first night was fine, grilled salmon, veggies, rolls. Margaret served everyone's plates but handed mine last, a touch too deliberate. It had no salmon skin, no buttery potatoes, just a pile of wilted spinach. I said nothing. That night when the house was still, I unpacked Lauren's cameras. One in the kitchen corner aimed at the counter, another behind a jar on the fridge, a third disguised as a wall hook near Margaret's room, a fourth in a centerpiece on the dining table, the fifth in our bedroom just in case, all linked to my laptop, locked in my bag. By 1 a.m. I was done. The next morning, Margaret was in the kitchen, humming when I walked in. "Slept well?" she asked, pouring me coffee I didn't request. "I thought we could have a little lunch, just us girls." She pulled a fancy box from the fridge, labeled Emily. "From a high-end deli in town," she said. "Special ingredients just for you." I nodded, pretending to sip the coffee. "That's thoughtful." While the boys napped and Mark went hiking with Henry, I checked the footage. At 9:52 a.m., Margaret, alone, slipped on gloves, opened a small container from her bag, and used tweezers to place a wriggling beetle into the rice of my lunch box. She dusted it with herbs, sealed the box, and smiled. I froze the video, my heart pounding. I'd expected something, old food, maybe a moldy garnish, not a live insect. That night, Margaret made a show of the chef's dinner. "Custom lunch boxes for everyone," she announced, setting out boxes tied with silver ribbon. "Emily's is extra special," she said, handing me mine. "Delicate like you." I took it unopened. "Open it," she urged, her eyes glinting. "I want to see you enjoy it." I smiled. "So do I." I stood, walked to the trash, and dropped the box in. Mark stared. "Emily, what are you doing? That was expensive." Henry set down his glass, silent. Margaret's voice sharpened. "That was made for you?" I grabbed my laptop. "Let me show you what was made for me." I opened the footage, placing the laptop where Margaret's teacup sat. The screen showed her gloved hands, the beetle, the careful placement. Gasps rippled through the room. My youngest clung to Mark's arm. "Jesus," Mark whispered. Margaret's face tightened. "That's fake," she snapped. "Someone tampered with it." I switched to the fridge camera, showing the same act from another angle. "3 cameras, Margaret, all real." Mark stood, his chair scraping. "Mom, tell me this isn't true." Margaret's composure cracked. "She doesn't fit here," she spat. "She's never fit. She stole you from me, Mark, with her fancy degree and her perfect little life." Henry's voice cut through, low and firm. "Margaret, you tried to harm the mother of our grandsons. You could have hurt the boys." Her eyes widened. "Henry, enough," he said. "Mark, take Emily and the kids. Leave now." We packed in silence. By 11 p.m., we were on the ferry, the boys asleep in the car. Mark gripped the wheel, his voice barely audible. "I'm sorry, Emily. I didn't want to believe it." I stared at the black water. "She didn't just mean well, Mark. She meant to hurt me." He nodded. "She's done. She won't come near us again." A week later, I filed a police report with the footage. The officer's face hardened. "This is attempted endangerment." A restraining order followed, barring Margaret from contact. She tried anyway, blocked voicemails, anonymous emails, letters with no return address, swinging between pleas and rage. I kept them all for the police. Henry called a month later. "I'm divorcing her," he said. "She's falling apart, thinks everyone's watching her, hides her phone, accuses strangers. I should have stopped her sooner." I exhaled. "I'm sorry, Henry. Don't be," he said. "You showed us who she is." 2 months later, my phone rang. Blocked number, I answered. "Emily." Margaret's voice was thin, broken. "I'm alone. Henry left. I can't afford food. Please, I didn't mean it." I stayed silent. "You're a mother," she begged. "You understand sacrifice." "I did it for Mark," I spoke calmly. "You wanted me gone, now you are." I hung up. At home, Mark sat on the porch, the boys chasing fireflies. "You okay?" he asked. I smiled, the weight finally gone. Better than okay. For the first time, we were free, not just from Margaret, but from the shadow she'd cast. Forever.